Hey guys, Brisen here, me profiling my Hazy Flame deck for you guys for the January 2020 format. Love this deck. Came out in Cosmo Blazer, and I played it ever since that set came out. It's actually the first deck I topped with at a locals. I got second place. It was when Rekindling was first at 3. The deck was super good back then. One of the first Exceed decks out there, and the non-targeting was really good. And I just thought it was cool to be able to play tribute monsters that actually have a tribute summon for them. So. And they have really cool arts. So without further ado, we'll get into it. 3 Cerberus, he's the only one that you can normal summon without tributing, without having to have anything else to play him. When he's normal summoned, his attack goes down to 1,000. You can't, all of them have the ability that you can't target them with card effects. And then when he gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Hazy card from deck to your hand, which is cool, because you can add a Hazy spell, trap, or monster. He's got 200 defense, which is important for Rekindling. 3 Hazy Flame Hydra, he's a dinosaur, which is important for a card in the extra deck. He is a Rekindling target, can't be targeted. And then when you XYZ summon using him, you can target a Hazy Flame monster in your grave and attach it to that Exceed as a material. I believe, though, when you do... Yes, you cannot special monster fire monsters. So when you are playing him, you are going into like a Basel Trice or the other monster I have. I do play 3 Sphinx. I played 3 for a long time, dropped it down to 2, brought it back up to 3 because this is kind of like your, it's like your late game, like recovery. Can't target with card effects. If you declare 1 card type monster, spell, or trap, you mill it off the top of your deck. If you call it right, you special summon a fire monster from your grave or your hand. So, really good card. You can bring back some really strong stuff with it. And the 1900 attack is nothing to scoff at. 3 Periton, to rescue out of the deck. You do want to get this card off. Really good. So you can tribute and special summon 2 Haze Flame monsters from your deck. Just super cool. And he can't be special summoned except by the effect of Hazy Flame monster, which kind of sucks. But just get 2 off the deck. What's really cool is you can bring out like 2 Hydras and then get a 4 material Exceed monster, which is cool. Or you can play like, depending on what you're playing against, a Cerberus and like a Sphinx, so you can special summon something from Grave, then you have a Cerberus for backup. And the last Hazy I run is 2 Hazy Flame Griffin. If all monsters you control in your grave are fire, you can just special summon him for free. He's got 2100 defense, so like a Cyber Dragon in that way. He's just a free either tribute fodder if you open really bad, so you can special summon and tribute him, or he's just an extender. So like, let's say you parry 10 into 2 Hydras, and then you special summon your Griffin, then that's a 5 material Basel Trice, and you'll get all of its effects. So, yeah, that's it for the Hazy Flames. I don't play Manticore or Hippogriff. Hippogriff I used to play, but then Hydra replaced it as a Rekindling target, and the Hippogriff I just feel is bad. Like, there's just so many better options, and it's got 300 defense for some reason. Like, if it had 200, I'd consider it, but I don't think it's good. 3 True King Agnimazod the Vanisher. If he's in your hand, you can destroy 2 other monsters in your hand and or face up on the field, including a fire, and you can special summon, and then if one of them's a fire, you can banish. I believe it's just 1 card your opponent controls. Let me check that, though. 1 monster in your opponent's field or graveyard. Okay, cool. So, if he's destroyed by a card effect, you can add a non-fire worm, which really doesn't matter. But he offers you destruction in the deck, so like you can pop your own Cerberuses to play him and get a Surge, so you can set up your board. He's a 29 beater, and he's spot removal. So like, let's say you pop a Cerberus and something to play him, get rid of their big monster, and your Cerberus will search out like a Periton, and then you can tribute him for the Periton and go off. So really good. Then I play 2 Doggerong because this deck is definitely going second. Like, you really don't want to go first with this deck. It doesn't have any really good first turn setups. But it is a fire for Sphinx and Periton. You just tribute it, and then, you know, your boss monster can just banish it, or you can get over it with other cards you play. And I play 3 Hazy Pillar. This is what allows you, you can normal summon Hazy Flames with 1 less tribute. They're all level 6s, so they only take 1 tribute, so you can just normal summon them. Then you can target a face-up Exceed monster you control as its secondary effect and attach a Hazy Flame monster from your hand or your side of the field to it as material. So if you do end up having an Exceed that's on the field that use the effect, or like your Basel Trice, you can just replace what you've used, which is cool. Next I play 2 Mausoleum of the Emperor. It's an older card with 1 Terraforming as the 3rd copy, just searched out. So I believe the 2-1 ratio is pretty good. I have 2 different printings. They're pretty old, but it's both players can normal summon or set monsters without tributing by paying 1,000 life points, time the number of monsters needed for the tribute summon. So I think this is the newer one though. During either player's main phase, turn player can pay 1,000 life points times the number of monsters normally needed for the tribute summon of a monster. So it's max 2,000. That player normal summon sets that monster without tributing. So this is their one normal summoner set for the turn. It's not a tribute summon. So this is obviously the newer ruling, but the restriction for the max 2,000 really doesn't hurt you in the deck because all your monsters take one tribute. So it's just another way to normal summon, because if you don't open up a way to normal summon your Hazy Flames, you just kind of lose. That's the downside of the deck. 3 Dark Ruler no more. So glad this got reprinted. You negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls at the end phase of the turn. For the rest of the turn, your opponent takes no damage. It really doesn't matter. And they can't activate monster effects in response. So like if your opponent like makes a 3/4 negate board, has a whole bunch of monsters, just negate all of them, and then you can just go about your day. Play your deck the way you need to. What's cool is it's a spell too, so like I don't play any traps in this build. It's either monsters or spells, so you can just tell from your graveyard by how many you've used of one or the other, and then just call Sphinx. It just gives you a higher chance of calling Sphinx, right? So building the deck to your advantage. Most of the time you call spell, because by the time you're getting Sphinx out, you've already gone through like 3 or 4 monsters out of the deck, and like the other half of your deck is spells. 3 Celestial Observatory. This is your draw of the deck. You can place 1 level 6 monster from your hand or face up on the field to the bottom of the deck and draw 2 cards. You can only activate once per turn, so it can't be a dead draw, but all the monsters you play are level 6, besides Doggeran and the Agnimazad, and just draw 2 cards. They can unbrick hands. It's a spell for Sphinx. Really good. 2 Onslaught of the Fire King. If your opponent controls a monster and you don't control any, so going second card. Special summon 1 Fire Beast, Beast Boy, or Winged Beast from your deck. So you could play your Cerberus, your Sphinx, or your Griffin. Straight from the deck, and then you destroy it during the end phase. So the best combo that you can use, it was better back in the day when the game was slower. You can play Cerberus from your deck, so you have a 2,000 beater that can't be targeted. And then at the end of the phase, it'll destroy itself. Now, this card negates their effects on field, but his effect activates in the graveyard after he's destroyed. So once he gets destroyed by Onslaught, then you get to search off Cerberus still, which is pretty good. I did play 3 for a long time. Like, back in the day when the card was better. Now I play 2 because it is a little bit slower, because most of the time you're not going to have enough time to get the search off Cerberus, which is what made it good. It just kind of gives you an extra extender out of the deck. And if you've already set up your board, you can't really use the card, so it just becomes a dead draw. Then we play 2 Circle the Fire King. Target 1 fire monster in your graveyard when you control. Pop the one you control, especially one from the grave. So, like, it's a good card to, like, dodge things on your opponent's turn. Like, if they're gonna, like, let's say you summon something, like, normal summon the Torrential. I can Circle the Fire King's it, get the search. Well, I guess Torrential's not a good example. But, they, like, target it with an effect, like, as removal. I can pop it, so I still get something off my monster. Get the search off Hazy Flame, Cerberus, special summon, and then, you know, their effect fizzles, so pretty good. Because it's a quick play, you don't have to play it on your turn, which I really like. And it's a spell for Sphinx. 3 Rekindling, why the deck is super good again. You special summon as many fire monsters with 200 less defense from your grave, so your Cerberus or your Hydra in your graveyard. They get banished during the end phase, but you're going to use all of them. It's just what gives you, like if your opponent has nothing, you can bring back all the Cerberuses and Hydras, and they have 2,000 attack, 2,300, so you can OTK. You can go into a battle, tries to find materials, and a couple other cheeky things I run in the extra deck. Then I play 1 Rising Fire and 1 Monsterborn. Monsterborn, just because you can run 1 right now, it's just a free reborn, and anything that extends in this deck to get you more monsters out is really good. Rising Fire, if you control no monsters, you can target a fire monster in your grave and special summon it, and then you equip it and it gains 500. So when this leaves the field, you destroy that monster, and if this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can banish 1 monster in the field. So like if your opponent like pops this card, you can just punish them by banishing a card, which is kind of cool. It can give you like a 2,500 attack Cerberus, 2,800 attack Hydra that can't be targeted. So it is a really good card. If they pop it, you can destroy a Cerberus it's equipped to and get a search. The only reason I play 1 though is because you can't control a monster to activate it. So like if you already have a setup board, it's like Onslaught. It's kind of dead. You also need monsters and graves, so it needs setup. So opening this card's really bad. Unless you can get things in the grave. So yeah, just the 1's fine. That's it for the main deck, 40 cards. We'll go on to the extra. Like I said, I played this deck for a while. I profiled it, I think the most on my channel, so I do have a lot of Probably weird things I play, but pretty good. Play 3 Hazy Flame Bassal-Trice. A lot of people play 2. You could honestly cut this to 2. Like, I play 3 because it's the main card you go into. I've gone into 3, but with how fast the game is now, you're probably never going to get to go into 3 of them. But if it's got 3 or more materials, it gains 200 attack in defense for each material. 4 or more, it can't be targeted by card effects, and he gains the 200 attack for each material. And then 5 or more, he gets the last 2 effects that I said, and he can't be destroyed by card effects. So if all goes well, you'll have a 3,500 attack monster that can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. So this is like their big monster. And then you can also detach a material and then banish. Target one monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard and banish it. So that's really good. It's gotten better nowadays that people use a lot in their graveyards. You can banish it. But what's cool with him is he can do like spot removal. So you can play him, banish whatever your opponent has, and then use like Pillar's effect to add another material. And then he still can't be destroyed by battle or targeted. Or you can just sit on him and beat your opponent down. Either way, really good. The next good one that I have that kind of gives you a going first option now is 2 Evolves Arsolda. Really old card as well, only printed once. He can't be destroyed by card effects, which is good. And while he has a material, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach a material from this card and destroy it. All the Evolzar Exceeds were crazy. Like, even like Evolzar Dolgo and Magia today are used. Like, they're awesome. But since Hydra is a dinosaur and sold as a fire, so it meets his requirements, you can play him. So like, let's say you parry 10 to 2 Hydras and you have like 2 Hazy Flames and Graves. Like the parry 10 be one, you had like one other one. You can play both of them on top of each other to play the Solda, and then attach the parry 10 and another Hazy Flame to him as material. So then you can technically use this effect 4 times. He'll be a 4 material Solda, which is awesome. So you can stop like special summons 4 times on your opponent's turn. Can't be destroyed by card effects. Really, really good. Crazy hard to find. Like some of these cards, like these are all dirt cheap. Like I built this deck for 20 bucks when it first came out. Like everything I needed. Like I had nothing but maybe like Monster Reborn. Of course, new things have come out like Dark Ruler No More and Celestial Observatory, but it's a pretty good deck. 1 Damper Vampire Sheridan. You can G+ level 6 monsters. So if you Rekindling for 5, you can make them at 5 materials. If you use a monster with a level that was controlled by your opponent, you can make level 6, which is cool. Then once per turn, detach a material from this card, target one of your opponent's monsters, send it to the graveyard, and then if a monster is sent to the field to your opponent's grave by a card effect, or it's destroyed by battle and sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can detach a material from him and bring it back. So, like if you play him, you can he's spot removal, which is really good. And then if you have like a full board of monsters, when you attack into your opponent's monsters, you can just special summon back to your field to use for exceeds or, you know, to beat over things. And if I'm not mistaken, let's see if that's a once per turn. So it is once per turn, sadly, but really cool. It is removal. It can bring back your opponent's cards, so you can bring back something really big that they had. I play 1 number C5 Chaos Chimera Dragon. He gains 1,000 attack for each material he has, which is cool, so he can max out like 5,000. With Hazy Pillar, you can really make him big. Like if you played him off Rekindling and then you could just add more materials to him each turn with Pillar, he can get really big. But at the end of the damage step, you can detach a material from him and he can make another attack on your opponent, and then I believe it's at the end of the battle phase. Yes, you can pay half your life points, target 2 cards in the grave, any graveyard, place one of them on top of the deck, and if you do, attach the other to him as material. So, really just a go for game. Most people forget that he's a card, but really, really cool card to use. You can just beat over your opponent's whole board. You can add Rekindlings to the top of your deck. Super cool. Then we play 1 Fairy Knight Inganar. He takes 3 level 6s, so once per turn, you can detach 2 materials, and he's a Black Rose, but he bounces everything to the hand. And they can't activate cards or effects in response, so kind of clear boards. 3,000 defense. You can make him with more than 3 materials, which is cool. 1 Photon Strike Bouncer. This deck also used to be really good, because back in the day, this card was crazy. Once per turn, during the player's turn, when a monster effect is activated, you can detach and negate that effect and deal 1,000. So he's a 27 beater, and like you could, like let's say you were able to get a decent amount of grave, and you Rekindling for 4, you could play 2 Photon Strike Bouncers, and it says once per turn, so it's just once per copy. So if you play 2 Strike Bouncers, they can build the negate. So depending on your matchup, That's pretty good. I'm honestly thinking about cutting something in the extra deck for a second one. Like maybe like one of my Basilisk Trices or something, but I am not sure. Because it doesn't come up very often that you would rather have this over like, you know, Solda or anything, so he's still in there. Used to play like a whole bunch of them. But you play one Salamangreat, Great Sunlight Wolf. I think the only effect that matters, if you special summon something to a zone that he points to, you can add a fire monster from the grave to the hand, which is cool. So, you know, you can just kind of combo off and get things you need. Want to do a little Chimera? He gives all fire monsters plus 500. If you get struck by battle or card effect, you can add one from your grave to hand. So, like if you were kindling for 5, take 2 of them to play him, and then you beef up the other 3, and you can go for a lot of damage. 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer Ablaze, you run fires, so 2 monsters including a fire monster, and then everybody plays Ash, so you can play her, special summon the Ash from grave, and then, you know, link up into something else. We do play 1 Firefighting, Darumidal, really, really good card. He gains 100 attack for each Beast Warrior Winged Beast monster in the field, which you do play a lot of. Once per turn, you can target 1 spell or trap on each field and destroy them, so you can target like a dead Hazy Pillar and a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then I believe, yes, when it destroys the opponent's monster from battle, you can target one of your Beast Warriors, Winged Beast monsters that's banished, or in your graveyard and add to hand. So when he does start beating over stuff, you can add stuff to hand. And if you do, unfortunately, like they stop you, like you can't exceed, like let's say somebody deburies you after your rekindling and your stuff gets banished, he can help you bring that stuff back to hand, which is kind of cool. 1 Nightmare Phoenix, because he has a fire, so he meets Hydra's requirements. Discard a card and then pop a card in the field, which is really all that matters. My last one is 1 Topologic Zeraboros, so let's say you do lose everything to rekindling, you know, he gains, the only thing that matters to him is he gains 200 attack for each banished card, and there's a decent amount of decks that banish, so he can get really big. I have thought about cutting something for Nightmare Unicorn here, or even like IP. That's pretty good. You can play what's the other one? Apollosa, because with rekindling you can have like a 5 negate Apollosa really easy, which is kind of cool. Honestly, if I were to cut some stuff from this, I'd probably cut the Darumidal for Unicorn, because your Phoenix kind of does the same thing. You could cut the Strike Balancer for a Unicorn, because like I said, Sold is better. Your 1 Vampire Shuridan for a Masqueraneous, you can do those plays. And then maybe you could do one of your Basilisk Trices, because like I said, nowadays you're really not going to go into 3 for like an Apollosa, or you could take out like a Sunlight Wolf, that's kind of like techie. But yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. Like I said, I really, really love this deck. I played it for a long time. At some point, I dismantled it and lost cards and went and rebuilt it again because I liked it so much. My friends knew me for it. It's just hard to play it nowadays, so I don't bring it out a lot to play, but when I do play, it's a lot of fun, very nostalgic. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.